said I was just tired. But that lie quietly ended my relationship.
I stared at my phone as his last message sat there, unread, for 5 full minutes. "You okay?" he had typed. The words were simple, familiar, but the answer was anything but, I wasn't okay. Not even close? But how do you say that without igniting a fire you're not prepared to fight? So, I did what I always did. I lied. Yeah, just tired, I replied, the lie rolling off my tongue like it was muscle memory. The little typing bubble appeared on his end, then vanished, then appeared again. He was thinking, choosing his words carefully. "You've been tired a lot lately," he finally sent. I sighed and locked my phone, tossing it onto the cushion beside me. He wasn't wrong. The exhaustion I felt wasn't physical. It was a deep, soul-crushing weariness that had settled over our relationship like a thick fog. Later that night, the silence in our living room was deafening. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, the glow of the TV screen the only thing connecting us. We were pretending to watch a movie, but I think we were both just watching the space between us grow wider. "You're quiet," he said, his voice soft, almost a whisper, as if he was afraid to break the fragile peace. "So are you," I snapped back, the words sharper than I intended. The silence that followed was heavy, thick with everything we weren't saying. It felt like I was suffocating. He finally turned to me, his eyes searching mine. "Do you still love me?" The question landed in the middle of the room with a thud, heavier than any accusation he could have thrown at me. It wasn't angry, it was just sad. "Of course I do," I said, but my own voice betrayed me with a slight hesitation. He noticed. Of course he noticed. He always did. He took a shallow breath and asked the one question I had been dreading. "Then why does it feel like you're already gone?" I had no answer. And the fact that I had no answer, no quick reassurance, scared me more than anything else. The next day my phone buzzed. It was a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. An old friend, a ghost from a past life. Long time, it said. Simple, casual, completely unexpected. I stared at the name on the screen, feeling a strange flutter in my chest, a flicker of something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. We started talking. It was harmless at first, just catching up, reminiscing about old inside jokes and shared memories. I told myself it was nothing, just words on a screen. A harmless distraction. But words have a way of gaining weight, especially when they arrive at the exact wrong time. That night, my partner saw me smiling at my phone as I typed. "Who are you talking to?" he asked. "No one," I said, way too quickly. He didn't push it, he just nodded and looked away. And somehow, his lack of suspicion, his trust, hurt more than any fight could have. Over the next week, the chats with my old friend became longer, more frequent. I found myself looking forward to them, waiting for the buzz of a new message. My phone became a secret little world, an escape hatch from the quiet disappointment of my reality. I was living in 2 different timelines. One was here, with him, strained and silent. The other was on my screen, easy and bright. "You seem distracted," my partner said one night over dinner, pulling me out of a daydream. "I've just got a lot on my mind," I replied, another half-truth to add to the growing pile. He just nodded, but his eyes were filled with a sadness that I couldn't ignore anymore. I was the cause of that sadness. One evening, he finally confronted the elephant in the room. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice low and steady. We sat down, and the air was thick with tension. "I feel like I'm losing you," he said, his gaze fixed on his hands. Every part of me wanted to deny it, to tell him he was wrong, to promise him everything was fine. But the truth was tangled up inside me, and I was choking on it. "I don't know what I feel anymore," I finally admitted, the words barely a whisper. His face fell. I watched the hope drain from his eyes, but he didn't get angry. He didn't raise his voice. He just asked, calmly, "Is there someone else?" I shook my head, even though the answer wasn't that simple. "It's not like that," I said, knowing how weak and pathetic it sounded. There wasn't someone else physically, but emotionally, I had already checked out. I was having conversations, sharing parts of my day, and giving my smiles to someone who wasn't him. He stood up and walked to the window, his back to me. He took a few slow, deep breaths. "I just want honesty," he said, his voice cracking on the last word. "That's all I've ever wanted." That night, We slept with our backs to each other, a vast, cold ocean between us in the bed. The next morning he was gone before I woke up. No note, no goodbye kiss. Just an empty space beside me, and then my phone buzzed. The other conversation waiting for me like a lifeboat. "You seem distant," the message said. The irony was crushing. The same word my partner used to describe me, now being used by the person I was using to create that distance. In that moment it all came crashing down. I saw my behavior for what it was. I wasn't just confused, I was being careless. I was using one connection to avoid the hard work of fixing another. That afternoon I asked my partner to meet me. We chose a quiet park, a neutral ground. He arrived looking tired, but there was a flicker of hope in his eyes that broke my heart. "I need to tell you everything," I started. And I did. I told him about my confusion, my loneliness, my fear. I told him about the messages, the emotional drifting, the way I had let a crack in our foundation turn into a chasm. He just listened, his face unreadable. He didn't interrupt, he didn't accuse me. He just let me pour out all the poison I had been holding inside. When I finally finished, exhausted and empty, he nodded slowly. "I wish you had told me sooner," he said, his voice gentle. "I know," I whispered, tears finally streaming down my face. We sat there for a long time, letting the years we had shared settle between us. There was so much history, so much love. "I love you," he said, and I knew he meant it. But love shouldn't feel like begging for someone to stay. He was right. A relationship shouldn't be a constant battle to keep someone present. "I need time," I said, my voice thick with tears. "I need time to figure myself out. To figure out why I run when things get hard." He took a deep, shaky breath, then reached across the space between us and took my hand. His touch was as familiar as my own skin. "Then take it," he said, and then he let go. We said goodbye without anger. Just a profound shared sadness and a strange sense of understanding. It was the most painful, honest conversation we'd ever had. Later that night, I opened the other chat for the last time.